When you're new to the lifestyle, having rules or boundaries are a really, really good idea. Hi, I'm Matt.
Hey there, I'm Bianca.
And in this video, we're going to tell you the top 10 rules that we hear from all brand new swingers.
That's right, this is going to be a really good one. Keep watching.
Okay, rules. Now, probably not everybody has all of these rules that we have on this list, but we've heard these from people. We've come up with some ourselves. We're like, oh, that would be good for brand new people to.
We had some of these.
We had some of these rules that we're going to go over. And actually, if you stay to the end, we're going to tell you the number one rule that Bianca is an absolute no. This is her rule. No, does not get crossed, does not get crossed. So stay tuned for that. But let's just start out with number one.
That's right.
All right, number one that we hear a lot is some couples will say, let's soft swap only.
Yes, that's right. Soft swap. If you don't know what that is where you just really performing oral next to each other. So you might, I would do oral on another person, you would do oral on that other person. You might just have sex with your partner next to another couple.
Sure.
So parallel play.
Parallel play is another name for soft swap oftentimes.
Right.
And a lot of couples will have this rule as just kind of like, we're brand new, we don't know what we want, we don't feel comfortable at this point doing other things, so let's just do the blowjobs.
It's a nice way to kind of dip your toes into the whole thing. And this is kind of how we got started.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we started off, I wanted an experience with another woman, and we didn't know terms unicorn or mermaid or any of that stuff back then. We just happened to find another couple, and they were interested in her and I playing and the guys just watching. And because we had gotten so comfortable with them and we had talked to them for a while, we both said once we got back to our room, I'd be okay if you did oral on that person. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I think that'd be fine too. And so we created those rules and boundaries
before we started playing with that couple.
Yeah.
And we ended up having a really good time because we talked about it beforehand, which is the most important part about that. Number two rule that we see a lot is same room. There's same room play and there's separate room play. Most couples that you'll run into, especially in the first few years, I guess, that they're in the lifestyle, will be like same room only. That was one of our rules.
One of our rules for a very long time.
Yeah, now we don't. Now we play separate as well, but we will play same room when it comes up because, as we said, a lot of couples feel comfortable with it. So if we talk to a new couple and they're like, oh, same room only, we're like, okay, that's cool. As most couples would be in that situation. They generally will listen to another couple's rules and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, or no thank you, I guess if that came up as well. But same room basically just means you're in the same room so you can enjoy the enjoyment of your spouse getting it on.
The sights and the sounds.
The sights and the sounds. But also from keeping your comfort level is like, oh, what's going on with my spouse because I can't see her. She's in another room. Is she safe? Is she okay? Is she following the rules? Etc. Etc.
It can keep jealousy in check because you're right there.
You can see their enjoyment and they can see your enjoyment. And that in itself is also another level of sexual excitement of like, I love it when we're doing same room and a guy or a girl is like giving you enjoyment to the point where you're like orgasming like crazy. And I'm like, that's hot. That's hot. I could watch that all day long. I'd like to record it, but she usually doesn't let me have the camera on at those times. So unfortunately. Number three, this is called the no kissing rule.
Yeah.
It's an unusual one, but it's one that people sometimes have.
Yeah.
And I think it stems back.
You've run into it a bit. I don't know that I've ever run into it.
Maybe once or twice over all these years of doing this. I think it stems back from Pretty Woman. If you haven't seen that movie, and unfortunately Bianca's had me seen that movie quite a few times. No,
like once.
They had this whole thing about prostitutes and will never kiss because it's too personal. And I think that just kind of went over into people who are new to lifestyle thinking, oh, that makes sense. This is just a play partner. This is not a love. This is not a boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that. This is purely a sexual experience. So therefore we shouldn't kiss because that's too personal.
Yeah.
That one, when we hear of that one, we also hear that it goes out the window pretty much on day one because kissing is a part of sex. It absolutely is. And when you are with someone and you're like doing all the things, oh, can't kiss you, but I'm literally putting my tongue in other places. There's just kind of this awkwardness, and I'm pretty.
I think there's this detachment.
Yeah, and it just makes for a less enjoyable experience. And if someone said to us, or I don't know, so if someone said to us, but I would also say to other couples as well, experienced couples, that if a new couple said, yeah, we don't really do kissing, they would probably decline.
I think I would. Yeah, I think that's just too important to my experience that I would just, let them go off and find someone else.
Yeah, because they could probably find someone else, especially someone maybe who was new that also had that same rule. But it's a very unusual one. We don't hear that one too often, but it comes up sometimes.
Well, and I think when you're, coming up to experienced people in the lifestyle, you're going to find that your rules aren't exactly the same. And so the more experienced people should be the ones to decide if they're going to change rules or not. For example, you only do soft swap. Well, we think you're really cute, so we'll do soft swap for this time. We don't normally do it, but maybe if we hang on long enough, you'll do a full swap.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would never ask them to change mid conversation. Oh, maybe we'll do a full swap. Okay, no, you move down the rule.
Now, number 4 is an important one. This one, I would tend to say people have this rule practically their whole time in the lifestyle, if not the entire time in their lifestyle. It's called don't take one for the team.
Yeah.
Taking one for the team, if you're not familiar with that term, is basically if I met a woman and you met a guy and you and him hit it off and you're just like, oh my God, I must have sex with this guy, and her and I don't hit it off, or I'm not attracted to her or whatever it might be, but I see this and I'm like, all right, well, I'll go. She'll enjoy this. I won't, but I'll do it anyway for her. And that could cause resentment.
Yeah.
It could cause anger. It can cause jealousy. It can cause bitterness. It could cause me next time going, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to do that to you. Let me go find the ugliest guy I can find. and you're just going to have sex with him, period, because I want to have sex with his wife.
So now you're forcing me to have sex with
Yeah, exactly. So, no. No. Take one for the team does not work. Does not work. I do know that in all these years of doing this, early on, we did both run into that on separate occasions where we felt that we were afterward that we're like, it was okay. It was fine. I took one for the team. I would not do that again. Well, I didn't have a good experience.
I think there's layers of taking one for the team.
Sure.
So, taking one for the team to me is really, for example, we met a couple once where you were very interested in her. She was very interested in you. I was not interested in him.
I remember this couple.
In any way, shape, or form. It was just personality did not match, nothing matched. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not there. This is a hard no. So for me, I have a hard no, but there's also some soft yeses.
Sure.
It's I'm not super excited about this, but he's not a troll or whatever, that sounds horrible. But it's just like, there are some times where I'm like, it's fine.
It's not fine. An enthusiastic yes, it's an unenthusiastic yes, which is okay.
I feel like for me, that is okay. Not every woman would be. Maybe some women are I want only an enthusiastic yes. Cool, that's your journey, go for that. But I'm okay with having an unenthusiastic yes.
And if you were a hard no and I forced it on you, or I was just like, that's not fair, or I'm like, but please, baby doll, and that's not okay. That's not okay. No. So that's what taking one for the team is. Number 5, condoms only. This is kind of just an obvious one. We definitely see that. Well, even places like Club Sapphire, for example, have rules of you play with condoms unless there's an express permission from the other person. Don't do that. Right. And I tend to say that's across the board at most places that you would go to. It's a communication thing, and it's a very, very common rule, and a rule people will have potentially their entire time in lifestyle, or if they happen to connect with another couple in a certain way, that can change. That could be something that evolved on a specific situation, but I would tend to think probably most of these rules can evolve based on time as well.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is kind of, in my experience, an unspoken rule. Like, I don't think that there have been very many times where I was like, okay, well, you're going to wear a condom. Like, you can say it in an easygoing way of, for me, hey, I'm latex free. Do you happen to have some, or do you need me to grab some? That's a way of saying, without being like, we only use condoms. That's an easy breezy way of making sure that you're hopes for this experience are going to go the way that you want them to. I mean, the last thing you want is to be in the middle of it and nobody brought a condom, or
which we've heard of that happening.
We've heard of that happening, or and then it's like you decide to. What do? You just stop, go grab a condom. Like, what do you do? So it's better to be prepared.
Ziploc bag, don't do that.
Oh my gosh.
Brought to you by Ziploc.
Oh my
no, not yet.
Making sure you're prepared. We pretty much always go anywhere, not like the grocery store, but we are pretty much always prepared with our condoms. Me specifically, because I do have a latex allergy. So I do make sure that I have mine, because I really don't want to be caught in a situation where I didn't bring them and they only have regular condoms and I have to decide, do I want the reaction or not? Like,
right.
how
is the sex worth it enough for me to be painful for a week or not? So that's actually the same with me. Is I although I don't have a latex allergy, I will only get the latex free, because you will run into women that do have latex free. Why bother having the regular ones when you can just have latex free? Considering nowadays the price is about the same. Yeah. So,
but if you're playing mostly at clubs, I've never run into a club that didn't have condoms everywhere.
Just buckets of them.
Yeah, I mean, you'll like, if you are lucky enough not to have a latex allergy, you're gonna have a condom sitting right next to the bed, so it won't be trouble finding it. That just depends if like you take people back to your hotel room or whatever, making sure that you do have that conversation to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Number 6, this is a rule that a lot of couples have when they're brand new, because this is what their fantasy is. They are looking for a third. They are looking for a unicorn to join them in bed, or they're looking for a guy to join them in bed and have this threesome experience. They might not even have any thoughts at all about ever having a foursome experience. And so they just kind of come in with it. Well, this is what we're looking for, and this is what our rule is for, at least right now.
Yeah, we've actually met some people recently that were brand new to lifestyle, never done anything, and they were just looking for a third, a male. Quite disappointing for me.
Yeah, that's right.
But
he had an accent. She likes the accent.
That was great. A very, very sweet couple, and we got to spend a lot of time getting to know them. And it was just they were only looking for a single male, and so it does happen that people are that's all they want. They hadn't had any experience. They had no desire to even think about going into foursome at all, because that was what they wanted. And we've known several couples that are looking for either a single male or a single female to help with either it's a fantasy of theirs that they've had that they want to check mark off and then see where they go from there, or it's just something that's just where they're comfortable. I have some people that I know that bringing in a single man is what she really likes, and he really loves to make her happy, and that makes him happy, and
that's what they do.
That's what they do. And I think that's fantastic. And you've run into a lot of couples lately, experienced and unexperienced, that have really enjoyed pulling you in as their single male.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, because we've talked about that a bit. I've run into that quite a bit lately, and I think it's really just people see us in these videos and they're like, oh, they clearly like Matt and Bianca clearly like each other. He's not going to go steal my wife and run off into the sunset. So he's fine if she wants to fuck him for an hour. It's like, okay, I will be that guy. If anybody watching right now,
you're so generous.
I know, right? So yes, that's a really, really common rule. Number 7, we are only going to have sex with each other tonight. That is our rule. That's a common one.
Yeah.
That's a common one. Especially when people are new. We actually tell a lot of couples, or if you've watched any of our videos, we'll say that if it's the first time at the club, or it's the first time at a house party, or wherever it might be, go with no expectations whatsoever. But it's a good idea, if you're really new to all of this, that you go with the goal of, I'm only going to play with you tonight. We're not, even if some other couple hits on us, we're going to be like, no, thank you. We're not there yet. We are going to play with each other. We might go into a large room where 50 other people are playing, so we can get the sounds and the sights and be looking over here and making eye contact with other people across the room or whatever. But it's still going to be us in the situation. And I got to tell you, that is really hot if you've never done any of this stuff before. Come with that expectation of, I'm going to play with you in an open room.
Right.
super hot. You're going to have a good time.
There have been times too where we will discuss before we go to an event, we'll discuss our expectations, and maybe not every time, but if I'm having some feelings or whatever, there have been times in our recent lifestyle journey that I've said, you know what, I'm having whatever feelings I'm having, and I would like it to just, if we play tonight, just be the two of us. And because he respects that, because that's where I'm at right now. But normally we play separate rooms. But for whatever reason, I want to just have this experience tonight because of whatever.
Yeah. And that's perfectly okay. Yeah. One thing that we always say about any of these rules or any of your rules that you might have is really always go with the speed of the more conservative of the two. So if she's feeling off that night and is only like, Matt, it's just us. Okay. And I absolutely, whether I feel that or not, I have to respect that, and so should you. Yeah. Where it's because that's when you create fighting, But I thought we were going to go fuck that couple tonight, and that's not okay.
And there could be 100 reasons.
100 reasons,
like,
and
maybe I'm feeling disconnected from you, and I feel like we need to reconnect. Maybe you've been working a lot, and I feel like I haven't seen you, or whatever. I mean, or I'm having one of those days where I just don't feel cute, or
does that happen?
It does.
What?
It happens to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or I'm feeling bloated. It's one of those days where I just.
Or maybe I'm on my period. I mean, there could be a million reasons, and it almost doesn't even matter what the reason is.
Doesn't matter.
Like, I shouldn't have to explain what I'm feeling in order to convince you to have sex with just me that night.
Number 8. This is also a common one that we do hear from people, but we always have to ask them about it because it's not as noticeable in the playroom. Only coming with your spouse.
Yeah.
And that's from a male perspective. Women definitely will have. There are a lot of women that will have many orgasms during the evening, and apparently it's difficult to control if a guy's doing a good job or if a girl's doing a good job. Men, there is oftentimes a rule where a woman, a wife, whatever, will say to the husband, you can have all the sex with all the people, but when it comes to finishing, when it comes to coming, you only come with me. And so the guy will have sex and do all the things for hours, whatever, but then at the end of the night, he'll find his wife for whatever room she's in, and they will reconnect that way, and then he will come, and they'll end the night with this big explosive orgasm together, which is nice. Yeah. Which is a nice thing to do.
It's a nice way to kind of wrap up your evening, to come back together, to realize that this is just a hobby that you're doing, and you are protecting your relationship in your way. Everybody needs to protect their relationship in what way works for them. And if coming with only your partner is what makes you feel protected, and you're keeping what belongs to you.
Right. Yeah, that's in addition to this, that is the factor of if you have kind of this rule of there's something that we want to keep between us. We had a rule years ago where I was just like, she does this great thing when she's having sex, when she's on top. This is a secret. Don't tell anybody. That sometimes when she's in the mood, she's feeling right, she'll start dancing on me. Like she'll literally we'll be having sex and she's riding me cowgirl, and she'll start to move and dance and stuff. It's the hottest thing ever. And at one time I was like, don't share that with anybody. That one's mine because I like that a lot. And she respected that. She respected that because that was just something that I just found to be like, I really like that so much. I don't want to share that thing. And it's exactly the same as with don't come in another woman, because that's something that, the woman would be like, no, that is mine. I want that thing to be mine.
Well, I think there are certain things, like some people will only do anal with their spouse or their partner. So, certain things like that. Like oftentimes I more hear it from the women, like I will only do anal with my husband because I feel comfortable with him. I know his size, all that kind of stuff. But she might say, I don't want you to do anal with anybody else because that's our thing. You never know. Like whatever special thing that you guys have, that needs to be protected. Because again, your relationship is the number one thing.
Number 9, this is a good one. Drugs and alcohol. This is something that is a factor sometimes where someone doesn't know their limits.
Yeah, they overindulge a little bit.
And we've known couples that, for example, the guy will once he drinks too much, he becomes an asshole. And the wife knows this and is like, I don't want him to drink too much because by the end of the night, no one will like him and nobody will want to play with us or whatever. So she has to be the one who keeps him in check and basically have this rule of you're allowed 2 beers tonight. period. At 2 beers, you are done. And that's smart. That's smart if it is someone who does overindulge. If you know that your spouse is someone who does that, and there's nothing wrong with that in whatever circuit, we're not judging in any way whatsoever, as other people wouldn't. But if your goal is to connect with others, if your goal is to play with others, then if you have to have a level, a limit, you can smoke one weed cigarette, or you can, you can smoke one of the marijuanas.
Oh my gosh.
Don't do drugs, kids. Or if you just say, 2 beers or, one glass of whatever it might be. And that's, you have to hit the line there. And as that person who has that limit put upon them, they should respect that limit, because your spouse is saying, don't go too far, because when you go too far, then I've got to babysit you, or whatever it might be. And nobody wants to be put in that position.
No. Well, and I know me personally, I don't want to play with someone who's overindulged in either drugs or alcohol. I'm not comfortable with that. I've never felt like I was on the verge of playing with someone that couldn't really consent to what they were doing. I know a lot of people have issues with that they want you to fully make sure you're aware of what's going on. I don't think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
If you're so drunk or drugs out or whatever, I'm not going to have a good time. And so let's just wait till you're sober. And I've definitely been with guys who didn't know, at events or resorts or whatever, that didn't know things were going to go that way with me, and they overindulged, and they were like, I got whiskey dick.
And remember, a whiskey dick is not a frisky dick.
You can make a bumper sticker that says that.
Oh yeah, that's a bumper sticker. Sure, okay.
Oh, gosh.
That'll be on our merch store. And number 10, our last one before we get to Bianca's absolute no. This one, I guess this one is a no to you too. It's a no choking.
Yeah,
no choking. That, for whatever reason, a few years ago became very, very popular.
Yeah.
Where it was all the rage to just choke a random person. And
while you were fucking them.
While you were fucking them. Yeah, while you were, no, that's part of it too. Yeah, don't do that either. But we definitely have talked to a lot of women over the years who were specifically like, I'd start playing with a guy and he would just suddenly put his hand around my neck. You ran into that a few times, and it was just like, you want to dry up a woman faster than anything? Just do something like that without communicating with her. And that's also not okay in any way whatsoever, and yeah. So some couples do have that rule, and they'll actually say that flat out. They're just like, if they're talking to a new couple when they first meet them, they're kind of going over their rules together, they might be like, yeah, no choking, please, thank you.
I think that I have definitely been in some situations where you're in the middle of play and they think it's okay to do it. And choking and spanking too, two kind of, they kind of go together for me. And that in the middle of play, I don't feel is an appropriate time to start choking or spanking someone. Like, if you're into that, that's something that needs to be discussed before you go back.
Yeah.
You've been in situations where you've had women that put your hand on their neck. They're saying, hey, do this to me. And that's made you uncomfortable.
That's made me uncomfortable. But but I'm also okay with literally putting my hand on their neck and not doing anything. My hand is literally just sitting there. And if that makes them hot by me doing that, but I'm not going to choke them. That's not my thing. And I don't know how to do it properly.
Or how to resuscitate them.
Yeah. It's been a while since I had my CPR card refreshed. So if I go to a class at the Y, then I'll then maybe I'll get into choking, but not till then.
Maybe that should be part of the swinger thing, though. Is in order to get your swinger card, you need to get your first aid and
CPR.
Your CPR card, just in case.
Good plan. We'll look into that. All right. So now this is the bonus. This is Bianca's absolute rule.
Yeah.
This is one that you have said since the beginning, and you've run into some issues over time here and there.
I don't know that I've said this since the beginning. I've said this since it became an issue.
Since the beginning, that's true. It wasn't necessary at the beginning.
Necessary at the beginning, because I had no idea it was going to become an issue. But before we get to that, do me a huge favor. Click on that like button below. When you do that, that helps other people find our videos, and then we can share all this knowledge with as many people as possible. And if you haven't yet, click that subscribe button. That way you'll be alerted to all the newest videos we have out there.
The rule is no butt stuff.
No butt stuff. Oh my gosh, I've had times where people are wanting to do butt stuff, or they stick a finger or whatever, or their face. And I'm just like, oh my God, like now that's all I can think of. And it's like, just fucking talk to me first and ask me if I'm into that. Don't just go sticking fingers in places they don't belong.
Right.
On me.
Okay. That's Bianca's rule, but that's also actually a lot of women's rules.
Yeah.
We've seen that at the beginning of the conversations or whatever. They're like, yeah, no anal. It's like,
I mean, and if you're into that, cool. Say, hey, I'm clean. I'm good. I'm good to go.
But I definitely have talked to a lot of couples where they're like, I don't know if I've ever met a couple. I'm sure it exists where were okay with anal on the first time playing with someone.
Yeah.
Like that to me seems very unusual. I don't know if that's really ever come up, but I've had those conversations where they're like, once I feel comfortable with a guy, we play with each other a couple times, then, and I like it so much, then I will accept that, and then we'll have fun that way.
No, but I just went through a period where everybody I played with just wanted to have something to do with my ass. So I had to make that a rule.
It's a nice ass.
Start saying to people, no butt stuff.
No butt stuff. That's right. That'll be on your T-shirt. There you go.
Oh my God. Yes.
Perfect.
Number 11. No butt stuff.
Wow. Okay. So are there any rules that we forgot?
Yeah.
There's probably some. I have to believe. I mean, these are the ones that we came up with that we absolutely hear all the time from different people. But this is what we want you to do. If we forgot one, or if you disagree with one, please comment below. We'd love to hear about them. We'd love to read them all and respond to them, and maybe do a future video on the ones that we forgot about. Yeah. So if you could do that, we'd really appreciate it.
Well, and your rule might be a really good idea for someone else reading through the comments. Sure. So you might help someone out there too.
So these are all great rules for when you're actually getting into the lifestyle. But what if you're not even there yet? What if you're at the point that you haven't even talked to your spouse about the lifestyle? So we actually made this video right here about how to convince your wife, how to convince your spouse, how to talk to your spouse about getting in the lifestyle. It's right above Bianca's head. No, you know what? Actually, let's put it down. It's on your breast. So what you should do right now is press on Bianca's breasts. Do it right now.